Good morning, it's Sam here at EFT Now, and I have here today and just about to start talking in a few moments about why the root cause is not everything that you need to resolve when you are looking to change something in your life. So I'm just going to share this in a couple of places. One moment, share the group. Okay, share there. And I'm going to share in my own timeline. Okay, so we're good to go. And this is all about why resolving the root cause isn't usually enough when you're looking to change something in your life. And we've all had, I'm sure, or many of us have had, amazing sessions of EFT, matrix reimprinting, NLP, hypnosis, whatever, where it felt like you had really, really hit on something, and releasing it and changing the pattern felt great in that time, and you came out of the session feeling like $1 million, like everything was going to change in your life. And then you soon realized that life had actually remained the same. Hi Jemima, hi everyone who's joined, good to see you. Just drop a yo or whatever in the comments, that'd be great to have you here. And so we're looking at what else there is to do in addition to resolving the root cause of whatever it is that you are exploring. Now, we are really geared towards looking for root causes in the complementary and holistic practitioner world. We want to go deep and find the real reason why a health condition or a behavior pattern is stuck and what can be done about it. So we go looking for those root causes, and often in the form of specific events in, for example, in meta health, the unexpected, dramatic, isolating, no strategy events, the UDINs, which are the trigger points for a health condition starting to appear. Now, whether it's a health condition, physical or psychological, or something such as blocks around money, relationships, career, whatever, then there are undoubtedly specific root cause events which have led to those patterns being held in place. And it is important to explore that. It's important to find them and release the energy around them, release the emotional attachment, release the effect that that trauma is still having on your body, on your nervous system, on your energy system. However, there's a lot more to the picture than that. And firstly, sometimes people don't go back far enough, and they might be looking at an event which created a belief, and that might have been 10 years ago, it might have been in your teens, but there will be founding stuff that goes even deeper, which can then still cause sabotage or holding a pattern in place, generally looking at a very early age for that kind of stuff. So it is important to be thorough with releasing trauma and exploring the meanings behind trauma that have happened in many stages of life, and these layers and layers of events which have basically started leading to behavior patterns, and ultimately could be health conditions or life conditions such as problems with making money or relationship problems, whatever. So within that, we have beliefs. Beliefs are formed, as well as the trauma from your life, from things that happened in your life, whether those are big traumas or those small t traumas. You have to look at the beliefs, and beliefs can remain in place even if the underlying root cause events have been resolved. So you might have this brilliant session where you go right back to something that happened when you were just a few years old, and it had a belief around it, of such as I'm unlovable or I'm not good enough, the kind of universal limiting belief that everyone holds in one way or another at some point. And understanding that doesn't necessarily change it. And this is because if you were, say, 4 when a belief was founded, and you totally resolve that event and the emotional attachment to that event, change the pattern in that memory, as you can do with many protocols such as matrix reimprinting, you are, that has changed. But if you're in your 40s, for example, you've had 35, 40 years of building on that belief, living it over and over and over again. And that creates a very strong pattern. And it's the patterns which it's really important to look at, understand, and actually start taking steps to resolve them. Now, I don't know if you've seen the work of Rupert Sheldon, a scientist who has a concept around morphic fields. Now, this is a really interesting way of looking at how habits form, not just in people, but also in nature. And he um, says that nature doesn't have rules, laws of nature, that it has habits, and they're formed by repetition and things happening over and over again. And this happens in us as well. So the more that you've lived out a behavior, a belief, a habit, an addiction, whatever, these actually form very strong morphic fields. And yep, the repetitive patterns of trauma. It doesn't even have to be trauma. It can just be repetitive patterns of behavior. So you get these behaviors coming over and over again, and they become very, very strong. And this is one of the reasons why you can have a brilliant session or series of sessions where you really feel like you've hit something, but then the old habits just slowly or even quickly just drip back in. You find you're just doing the same thing the next day or the next month, and gradually, gradually this stuff all drips back in. Now, I think that the reason that this is happening for a lot of people is that they aren't integrating what they've learned from their sessions. So they aren't actually doing the integration, which is actually making what you learn and what you experience in a peak experience, such as a very powerful emotional healing session, or this is often also a real buzzword in the psychedelic medicinal community, where people are exploring, for example, the use of psilocybin mushrooms to resolve health conditions with people. And they're finding that the integration is absolutely key. So one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, is integrating the learnings And this is the same from a psychedelic healing experience or or something such as EFT, matrix reimprinting, NLP hypnosis, where you are going into an altered brain state and things are happening during that brain state, which feel like you've really resolved something. But if you then come back to your normal brain state and you don't carry that learning into that normal brain state through your actions, through through what you do on a day-to-day basis, and really learn from the experience, then it's just an experience that you had. And this is even the case with very effective sort of hypnosis, timeline therapy, matrix reimprinting sessions, that you need to integrate everything. And this is where I think there's quite a lot of disservice being done to people getting really ongoing results in their life, as the as this integration just isn't being carried through. So integration is the process of bringing an event or experience into your life, basically. And that means changing habits, and as well as looking to the past and trying to resolve the things that happened in your past. It's about what you can do now, and it's about what you can do as life progresses. So in your future moments, to actually start living what you've learned and living the new behavior. And this requires what some people aren't prepared to do. They want to be healed. So they go from healer to practitioner to coach, wanting to be fixed. And as all healing is self-healing, and by healing, I don't just mean physical and psychological conditions. I also mean healing habits in your life, healing relationship patterns, healing your financial situation. It's all actually about your self ability to heal, which we have an incredible ability to do that once we shift our beliefs and understandings about what can be possible, and then take the action to make that happen. Now, one great way is to have daily practices which don't have to be very onerous at all. And these can be things, they're going to be tailored to whatever you are trying to change in your life. But a classic example that I know a lot of people do is using some sort of gratitude practice to rewire your brain and rewire the way that you actually perceive reality by doing it through a filter of looking for things to be grateful for rather than things to be miserable about. And that's just one, and it can be effectively done. And or like all these things, they're more effective when you involve the emotions as well. So really getting into that feeling state rather than just thinking about things consciously. It's about getting the body involved, and that's a really massive part of this integration. Um, and then, another one, maybe reflecting at the end of each day, giving yourself 10 minutes to just journal what has gone, what you've noticed, what patterns you've noticed that you've slipped back into, what you've managed to change. So, and celebrating those things. So celebrating the little wins, in whatever way you want to do that. I think it's really important, the little wins, the big wins, just noticing the change that you are making, even if there are still big things held in place. There's tons of other stuff you could do here. Obviously, exercise can be a good one because of the way that makes the body feel at whatever level works for you, whether that's going for a walk or doing something mad and intense like an insanity workout or kickboxing or whatever. Whatever is your level, could be yoga, could be a mixture of things, walks in nature, all these sorts of things which actually change the way you feel and might be breaking a pattern or a habit that you already had in place. So these are all just examples. So as much as you can do to actually change the habit. Now let's think about addiction as a habit, for example. No, from I've worked with quite a few people on smoking, and they often can get back to the specific event, which was the often a bit of a peak experience involving smoking, and how they felt about whether it was they felt part of something, or it was exciting and it was naughty and dangerous, and they felt good about that, and then constantly trying to recreate that. And you can very quickly release the root cause of a habit. But of course, because there's a physical substance involved, it's got this it's got this very strong habitual attachment to it, and that is the thing that needs to be noticed on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, perhaps not beat yourself up like, oh, I've had one cigarette, I had a cigarette, I slipped, right, that's it, I might as well give up. It's not like that. These this Everything is a gradual process, and from my perception, I've seen lots of people give things up gradually, and it's not even about giving up. In fact, I know there are a lot of people who have gone from being, for example, very heavy drinkers to casual and occasional recreational drinkers, which is flies in the face of what the AA would say, with some very good stuff in Alcoholics Anonymous, but they have this perception that you're always a victim, no matter what. You're always an addict from their perception. And from what we've seen with resolving the energy and the beliefs around habits, that's just not true. See, many people go to being able to go out and enjoy a casual drink once again, but without having to drink regularly or every day or whatever it is. So, but we're moving on in our understanding of what's possible through these things. I'm not saying that's always easy, just a few sessions and it's done, but it is possible. Is something that can be done. So then, what I think people really need is something to look forwards to in order to change and resolve a habit and behavior pattern. Because if you are only looking backwards, resolving root causes, you might be changing beliefs, and that can be enough. Honestly, it can work. Can be enough for some people for some conditions, but if it's something that's been really held in place, built up over a long period of time, like many health conditions have, with many triggers, it's not just about changing what's happened in the past. It's about changing what's going to happen in the future. And a lot of people know what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want. And they've probably set goals in the past and been disheartened when they haven't reached them or achieved whatever it is they wanted. And what I tend to find is that this is because they aren't even their goals. They've been setting their goals based on other people's beliefs or the beliefs of society more often than not. So we are, of course, all domesticated to a greater or lesser degree. We don't live wild, natural lives anymore. Our biology has still remained the same, but we're now living in, to a degree, a form of gilded cage. Many of us with arbitrary restrictions and also different freedoms that we've got. So it's all not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of good stuff that's come from the way we live now, but there is a disconnection and also societal norms which may not actually be very normal for most people. So the requirement to achieve all the time, for example, and people having that ingrained in their heads, so when they set themselves goals, they are achievement based. They might set a money goal for themselves, and without actually what those things are really for in relation to themselves. So the remedy for this, I think, is to explore for a lot of people actually what they really deeply and truly want in their life. And the great place to start with this is working your values out. So really understanding your values, which is it's goals and intentions and affirmations, everything all sound much more on point and cool, but actually learning your good old fashioned values or your modern values or whatever is really useful because it gives you a point where you can see the states of being that actually belong to you and are in your heart for the life that you want to create. So, learning your values, understanding them, and also seeing the clashes within them, which are causing you to remain in unhelpful behavior patterns, can be really useful in starting to create what you want. Just an example of that is if you've got a value of wanting adventure, but you've also got a high value of security, then you might be frustrated. The security value, your need for security, might be sabotaging you from having the adventure that your soul desires. So that is a big thing to explore, is what your values, your personal system of values are, and how you can actually live those, and the clashes that are holding you back. When you are um, when you have your values in place and you're understanding them, and they change throughout your life as well. These are things that as your life, some of them might have been things that you needed and in fact they weren't values at all, and then once you create that in your life, it might open you up to new values and new desires, or they can just change as we go through life and different things become important to us. Then you can, from that space of really understanding what drives you, that's when you can powerfully set goals, intentions, whatever. Some people don't like the G word, that's fine, call it whatever. Things that you want in your life, and start looking forwards to them. And even if you aren't even if you haven't resolved all your backstory stuff, and whoever has actually resolved all of their stuff from the past, by having these things to move towards, that's really powerful in starting to create these new behavior patterns based on what it is that you actually desire in your life, rather than what you've been told you should have, rather than what everybody else has. And having something to look forward to like that, some of which you might be able to do tomorrow, and some of which might actually require a few years to create in your life, or even a life's work, whatever. But having that can be really great for people, and you know it can lead to purpose and meaning, and that's an interesting one, because is purpose and meaning important or not? And again, that depends. I think that depends on your value system. Some people really love having a big meaning in their life. Other people prefer to dance like a feather in the wind, moving with spontaneity and being open to whatever life actually throws at them. And I guess that's kind of purpose as well, experiencing all of the facets of life and being able to pivot and move in whatever direction. And I think that's down to the values. If you value spontaneity, adventure, creativity, then you're less likely to have some sort of purpose to move towards, which drives you. Although you might find that some of them do occur in your life. That's the beauty of it. It's all fluid, so you can move in those directions. And I think when you've got this, these are real. Whether it is a deep and meaningful purpose, or whether it's an excitement and exuberance about the spontaneity of life, or a combination of the two, like it is for all of us or most of us, you can that that is really enhancing to your vitality, which is your spark of life, and actually a really key part of your personal ability to self-heal. That can drive you through so many things. It can basically move you. Uh, it can keep you going when you've been told that you are seriously ill, and as well as resolving the root causes, carrying out the whole picture of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and lifestyle changes that might be required to start moving you through a condition, and of course, medical intervention if necessary. It's absolutely a key part of healing. There's some amazing advances in medicine. It's life saving, very often, very important. It's just that there's more to it than that part of the picture, but all of it can work in accordance. So, yeah, so these are the things that need to be looked at rather than just turning up for the whizzy therapy session or coaching session where you do some amazing backstory work. Might change the beliefs in that time, but then, there's the whole journey of it. I think, in summary, it's really about the journey. It's about what you're doing, these little and often changes that you create in your life, which can be made much easier due to the change work that you've done in big sessions, and the shifting of beliefs and letting go of past trauma opens you up to create the changes. But I think it's then about having some form of structure, whatever works for you, whether that is a very linear thing, like it might be for some people. Again, we're back to values here, how people perceive what's important for them in the world, or whether it's a much more spontaneous, very loose way of doing things, where where you're still moving towards how you would like your life to be. Now, I just want to give you an example of sort of the multifaceted way that this could work with a health condition. So if we go with a tumor, whether it's a cancerous and it's been diagnosed as cancer, there are many sort of layers to explore with that. The first thing would be to look at, of course, the reason why that has manifested. And I just want to say, regarding, from the perspective that I work with, and I know many people follow, that the body is an intelligent organism and it is deliberately adapting to circumstances. But just because it is biologically adapting, it doesn't mean that that adaptation is logical. It's actually the body's trying to resolve something that was unresolvable at the time for the individual, whether that is there's events involved, there's a belief system, and there is a theme of life or themes of life involved. And in that case, so first of all, if you resolved every trauma and event which had led to the formation of that tumor, all of the environmental factors as well, sustain the body with the physical nutrition that can support in those cases. But then there's a belief in place because of the way that you were brought up, that the medical doctors are always right in what they say, and of course they're brilliant at diagnosing, but they don't always have the understanding of the cause of things. The symptom treatments, yes; diagnosis, yes; but the causes, and they say this is a, however, this is a deadly cancer. This I've forgotten the words. It's uncurable. This is an uncurable condition, and all we can do is manage it. Well, that has a very strong effect on your psychology and also on your body, because that's a trauma in its own right. And then there's work to do on resolving the trauma of the diagnosis, and also the belief system that you can't heal yourself, and that you have to be cured by somebody else, and that the medical doctors are always right, for example. And so there's all of that to resolve. But then things like, what have you got to live for? So then you might start looking at the stuff around purpose and values and creating meaning to actually take you through those dark times and the soul searching and the things that you need to do, whether that's medical route, holistic route, combination route, to actually move through the health condition. And that's the same for all health conditions, whether they are ones that are perceived as deadly or inconvenient and unpleasant things such as eczema. They've all got learning involved in them, and they've all got ways forwards. So there's backwards looking stuff as well as now stuff and forwards looking stuff to do with any condition. And I just also like to say it's not health conditions. I talk about health conditions a lot. It's also, it could be your inability to create wealth in your life, could be relationship patterns, having the same old things happen, going from one bad relationship to another, seeing the same patterns and wondering why that is. There'll be the stuff to resolve in the past, but also the understanding of what it is that you really want and how you might be contributing to this through your behaviors and the things that you're doing to actually resolve and move forwards in that. Okay, so I'd love to hear what you thought. If you've got any comments or any questions on any of this, feel free to drop them in. And I'd also just like to say that I'm offering to anyone that's interested, if you want to explore a single life issue or or a collection of life issues, whether that is a health condition or something that's more of a pattern in your life, then what I do is I have a session where we can actually explore the past things that might be holding that in place, and also what a future creation, sort of creating of a well, a plan or a or intentions, habits, changes in behavior. So looking at the past, present, and future aspects of how you can change and resolve that. And those are 90-minute sessions, and I'm offering those currently for £100, which is a lot of a discount compared to what I was charging for those before. And there's a lot in that, so it's really, really a valuable way to start exploring what it is that you can change, not only in your past, but also what you're looking to manifest in your future as well, and the steps that you can take to make that happen. So if there's not any questions, can't see any in here, just see if anyone's posted any anywhere else. One moment. Okay, no. So thank you for joining me. It's been, hope you found it of interest. And if you've got any questions, or if you're listening to this on a replay, then just feel free to put your questions in. I'll be monitoring everything that people write over the next day or two, and we'll answer any questions if you've got. So have an amazing day, whatever you're up to, and I'm very happy to speak with anyone who wants to find out more. So till next time, over and out.